Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaRakah Kadash. Double honors unto your apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and shalom to the whole full elect. It's a Daniel 7 breakdown, and I'm going to do it, Lord willing, at a rapid pace. Just cover, key points and then keep it moving. The reason why I'm doing this, I noticed it came out on the street speaking that the apostles held this week just gone, this weekend just gone, all right? And also, just dealing with the Akim kind of, question about certain parts of the breakdown. And kind of realized, as much as I'm rusty, other brothers were rusty as well. So I just thought this would just be a good one for me to sharpen my sword on. And Lord willing, edify those who need to be edified. And it's in the spirit as well, because Apostle Tar did mention that we should go into breakdowns, that he was looking to go into breakdowns because it's that kind of time. So Lord willing, you be edified. So I'm going to start from the top and just jump in where it's relevant to break it down. All right. I'm only going to read down to verse 8, from verse 1 to 8. And Lord willing, you be edified. It says Daniel 7:1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream of and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. Strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came from the sea, diverse one from another. All right, which these four beasts represent four different kingdoms that came upon the earth. All right, and these four kingdoms are the key. What you learn to understand is these four kingdoms being made mention of in this chapter. They're really technically the only four kingdoms that even mean anything, hold any form of weight within the realm of world history. Even though there's abundance of conquerors and etc. etc. When it comes into play in the key major prophecies upon this earth, these four kingdoms are at the helm of they're of great importance. All right. So anyway, let's read. It says, verse 4, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. All right. Now that creature that's being described is known as a griffin. All right. If you Google what a griffin looks like, which I'm not going to do, you can do that. Basically, a griffin's a lion with wings. All right. And this was a representation of the Assyrian Empire, okay, which superseded the Babylonian Empire, okay. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. So, the dominion was, taken, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man. And when it stood upon the feet as a man, that's basically when it became known as the Babylonian Empire, and a man's heart was given to it. Now, the man's heart that was given to it is dealing with Nebuchadnezzar, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah, because Nebuchadnezzar was the first king. All right, and it denoted the fact that it was Nebuchadnezzar. As I read on, you will understand why it was Nebuchadnezzar, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it, because the mind of Nebuchadnezzar he was a wise king. It was said that Michael, the archangel, the main archangel out of all of the angels in there in heaven, he could to manipulate the mind of Nebuchadnezzar. He couldn't do it by himself. He was, which is crazy, man. You had Michael trying to manipulate his mind, but he was so strong-minded that he had to call Yahweh to come help him, to coerce his mind to do the bidding of the Heavenly Father. All right, his will, that he basically, as it tells you in the book of Proverbs, man's goings are of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way. But more on that point is the one in the book of Job, talking about how a man desires to go a certain way, but the Lord putteth instruction in their mind while they sleep, so that pride is taken away. And that's what Michael did alongside with Yahweh Shai, manipulating the mind of Nebuchadnezzar, who had a great mind, or great in terms of strength, strong mind, was a strong-minded king. All right. Verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised itself up. It raised up itself on one side. All right. So this second beast that was like a bear is talking about the Medo-Persian Empire, which is the Medes and the Persians who formed a rulership together. But why did it say it raised up itself on one side? Because guess what? The one side that was raised up was the Persian Empire. Because most of the time you won't hear of it, won't be called the Medo-Persian Empire. You're more likely it's gonna be more likely when it's made mention of, it's gonna be spoke of as the Persian Empire, all right? Because the Persians really were the ones that held a greater dominion. Darius was known as a Mede, and it tells you in previous chapters how he came in. But when it came to the king sitting on the throne, they were really all the Persians, all right? They had great dominion over that empire, all right? They just had the Medes just had somewhat of a, I wouldn't even go, they were there, man, for lack of a better word, they were about, all right? I don't want to mislead you by not articulating it correctly, but the Persians were the main guys. That's why it said it lifted it up, raised up itself on one side, right? And it had 3 ribs in the mouth and between the teeth of it. And they said thus with unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now that much flesh was those 3 ribs inside of the mouth, which those 3 ribs, when you look at a map dealing with the Persian Empire is in what you would call today Iran, all right? Now it's in Iran. So basically Iran, when it goes towards west, when it moves towards the west, what's west of Iran? Babylon, the ancient Babylonian Empire, all right, which is one of the ribs. Then you had ancient Egypt, which was another one of the ribs, but north of ancient Egypt and north of Babylon, which also, the kingdom of Babylon had had Mesopotamia under dominion. You had north of that was Lydia, all right, which had Greece and various other, that whole region, Turkey, and close to, parts of Greece, I believe, that were basically subject onto it. So that's those 3 ribs that were devoured, all right. Verse 6, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, all right. Who's that leopard? It's talk about Alexander, the one the world calls great, or as we call him, Alexander Greek, who basically was described as a leopard in other books of that, in Daniel the 8th chapter. He's also spoke of that because his feet didn't touch the ground. The fact that he managed to conquer the Persian Empire, a great kingdom with a great army, great host, and basically did it and then conquered on the whole known world in a matter of 12 years, that was a great feat, all right? He did that he was campaigning from the age of 21, I believe, up until the age of his death, and managed to conquer much of the world. And that's why the Lord had to take him out, man, because obviously he'd served his purpose and to fulfill the prophecy. So again, let me read this. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and the dominion was given to it. Now, what are those 4 wings and those 4 heads? What do they denote? They denote his 4 generals that took power after him, as it tells you in the book of First Maccabees, the 1st chapter. Okay, his generals that came up in his stead, which is Lastimaeus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Ptolemy, Lastimaeus, Cassander, and Seleucus. Okay, Seleucus took Syria. Ptolemy took Egypt. Cassander. Wait, hold on. Lacenaeus took Greece, and Cassander took. Damn. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so Cassander took Lydia, Ptolemy took Egypt, Seleucus took Syria, which is kind of like Mesopotamia, and so Cassander, Lydia, Lacenaeus, Greece, Seleucus, Syria, and Ptolemy, Egypt. Okay, which is basically goes into the king of the north and the king of the south. All right. So yeah, they divided up the whole world at that time into 4 portions. All right, between the 4 generals. So when you go back to this breakdown, so it reads, verse 7. After this, I saw in my night visions. So that was the Greek, the Hellenistic period. Okay, or the Hellenistic period, the Hellenistic Empire. Verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, dealing with the Roman Empire. And it had great iron teeth, because it had great military might. It basically utilized the phalanx that would come from our forefathers, Greece, the Spartans, and they basically managed to utilize it. And through really their blessing of this prophecy, they managed to, use their great iron teeth to subdue the whole earth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. Why? Because you didn't have kings with a lineal kingship. What you actually had was a thing known as democracy, which when you read the book of Maccabees, it tells you about that, how they basically elected someone every year to stand in rulership. And that's the diversity of that kingdom. And they had 10 horns. And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Now, what are those 3 of the first horns? What is a little horn? The little horn's dealing with America, okay, that came out of the 3 first horns that are plucked up out of its roots, because that's dealing with the England, or the Britain, the French, and the Spanish. All right, because each of them had a portion of America, and basically for lack of a better word, the patriarchs of America basically did different. They beat the British dealing with the Civil War. They made the Louisiana Purchase dealing with the French, and also they got rid of the Spanish in the war. I can't remember, but basically that's the dominion. That was how those 3 horns were plucked up. And that's how that little horn managed to establish itself to become known as what's today the second coming of the Roman Empire, known as America. And behold, in the horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and the mouth speaking great things. Now, the eyes of man is talking about the technology.